little bit of a rainy, cold fall day. I certainly hope you had a beautiful weekend. I certainly did. Yeah, I don't know if any of you ever wrestle with this, but it was such a good weekend that Mondays are my day off. It's such a good day off. Coming back into work, and it's like I don't know this thing of foreboding joy, as Brene Brown would say. It's like, well, it can't all be good. Something really bad's got to happen today just to balance the scales. And that's not true. I know that not to be true, but it was a neat weekend. Neat weekend because with New Church Live, we're just blessed to serve a lot of people in a lot of different areas, and a couple weddings, couple of families getting ready to get their little ones baptized. Working with couples who are, some who are finding new ways to relate to each other, and others who are getting ready for all kinds of stuff. So it just was a fun weekend. I hope yours was good as well. So today, what we're doing is we're looking at a beautiful part here, and in the Gospel of John, we're switching chapters and to chapter 10. If you're following along, so John 10, and it's interesting because what I want to talk about today was what many historians consider was the primary image of Jesus in Roman culture. Which will be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 AD, right in there. And the primary image is fascinating to me. The primary image was that of a shepherd. That's kind of interesting, right? Today we would use a cross, which is a beautiful, beautiful symbol. And at this time in history, they really kind of latched onto the idea of Jesus as this very tender shepherd, which is beautiful. And you'll see, I'll put a picture up of an ancient picture of Jesus. And it's just kind of interesting when you think of that as being how people saw him, saw the Messiah, saw God, and how different that image was than the image that Roman culture in particular was very used to, sort of these mythological superheroes who were superhuman, way above it all. And here comes these Christians with this very both divine and human view of God, which is pretty revolutionary. We can lose track of how revolutionary that was for this time period. So now we're going to pick up with chapter 10. So this is Jesus talking about being a shepherd. I tell you the truth, the person who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. Now what's interesting here, folks, is that he's addressing the Pharisees. Again, we miss it so much because we divide things into chapters. These things were not originally into chapters, but it's obvious that this is just a continuation of the speech we looked at last week, where he's talking to the clergy from the time who had been very into judging other people, kicking people out of the synagogue, believing that you had to follow religious law to the T, and that they were the ones who controlled. In other words, they were the gatekeepers. The person who enters by the gate is the shepherd of his sheep. The watchman opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from a stranger because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but they did not understand what he was telling them. And that's John 10, verses 1 through 6. And there's a number of parts of that really struck me, getting ready for this morning. It's interesting because here Jesus is clearly saying, look, and it's that Pharisee part. And again, don't hold it out there. Remember, that's part of us as well. It's that judgmental part just is never really going to hear God's call. There are parts of me that will just never hear it. And one podcast I was listening to this weekend, the author was talking about how in this particular age, we are, quote, addicted to contempt. And I thought, that's really a good phrase. And it's really a good check. Where are there parts in your life and my life where we're actually addicted to contempt of other people? That part really can't listen to Jesus, because Jesus is no appeal to that. He's never going to appeal to our contempt of other people. Just not going to happen. And then the other part of it that was really striking to me, on top of the voice, was the idea it says, about the good shepherd leading them out there into the world, and them following his voice. And I think that's so much the way of Christianity that we're asked to do, and New Church Christianity is about like going out there into the world and really doing, really just, how much can we push it out there? And it's not pushing it out there, I think, necessarily evangelically, though it's beautiful to talk to people about your faith. I think it's really that lived experience, as Saint Francis of Assisi famously said, preach the word every day, and if need be, use words. I think there's really something to that. And it's not about sort of this lived experience that's all about, I'm going to show you, and then you're going to become so, it's going to become so appealing to you that you'll become a Christian like me. No, it's not that at all. It's just comes from the humble heart, folks. It just comes from the humble heart of just that we're here to serve. That's it. We're just here to serve. And sometimes I see this passage used, this particular set of passages used in ways that can actually be a little bit, I don't know if cruel is the right word, but a little, it can be used as a way to sort of limit the Christian message. But I think there's a lot here that's calling us to the Christian message and calling us to how do we actually live this stuff as best we can. I'll close with this thought. It's one I really got a kick out of. Years ago, I had read this book that was like 100 Greatest Sermons Preached in America. It's like this antique bookstore, and it was like a, you know, uh, 19 book written in the 1940s, and they were talking about the Christian New Church perspective. And what was interesting reading this book was this one author who said, wow, those folks even believe their job is holy. And I thought, oh, that's so good, right? Like even the mundaneness of our jobs is a certain holy endeavor. Whatever that job, even you're a retiree, what's your job today? Like even down to that is a holy thing, and in a place where we're to hear this call from God and to follow it. Again, this is very much, I mean, hopefully you can see it, again, this message reinforced. It's not Jesus. He doesn't say there, they worship me. He says they follow me. And it's following that model of living. It's following that model of life. It's following that model of service. It's following that model of care. And we don't we don't figure it out all at once. I mean, I'm 56 and I still feel like every day is a wrestling match. But it's a good match, and it's a good journey, and it's a good place to be. So for today, folks, just hear where that call might be leading you out somewhere. Hear where that little voice might be calling to you. And I'll close with a quote from Isaiah, one of my favorites about hearing a call. And in Isaiah, it says, and you will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. I love that idea. That's kind of how God's voice has. And like this little voice in the back of our head. And it's just saying, hey, this is the way, walk in this. So that's my thought for you today, folks. I hope that brings you a little inspiration today and a little connection with other people today. And with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our little meditation. After our meditation, we're going to do a prayer. After a prayer, we're going to do a blessing, and then we'll say hello to folks again. You can put a comment up on our New Church Live Facebook page. We now stream to a number of different sites and different platforms, but that's the one I'll be checking. So with that, folks, let's get a big breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and bring you peace and bring you home. Amen. All right, folks. So let's take a quick look here at a cheery hello to folks who may have been able to join us this morning. And it just takes me a second to pull this up, and hopefully none of you are seeing any flooding if you're joining us from the East Coast. But I know we have some folks who join us from the West Coast, and it sure sounded like you folks had some a lot of comments today. So it sounds like you folks had some nice rain out that way, I'm sure. Gene, good morning to you, and hope you're having a great day. Sherry, good morning to you. And by the way, I love that quote from Maya Angelou you put up this morning. I got to use that somewhere in a sermon. That was beautiful. Maria, good morning to you, my dear friend. Hopefully you're doing great. Recommend the super book. A shepherd looks at Psalm 23. Yeah, it is beautiful tying some of that stuff together. I've actually done some Christmas stuff around that, which is fun. Tori writes, good morning, everyone. My day is already going really well. And the appliance truck that usually brings 50 to 100 at the very end of the day, making me have to stay late at work, was waiting when we got here at 7, so we're already done with it. I will get to go home on time and prepare 2 days for New York City with my daughter, Tori. That is way fun. We have not gone together on a vacation in a decade. Very sweet. Oh, Tori, that is wonderful. Nothing like getting out with your kids, right? Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Patricia, great to see you this morning. And Rick, good morning from sunny Carlisle, PA. I know Carlisle, PA all too well, as anyone who has traveled the Pennsylvania Turnpike knows. Sunny, sunny with a chance of flooding. I think that is well said. Oh man, addicted to contempt. Sadly, common today. You know, Paige, it really is. It was just I don't even really know how to get at it. I just don't know how to get at it. Because it's ubiquitous. I mean, I see that. I see that in church world too, which is sad. Sometimes the way we are asked to walk is dark and difficult, hard to hang on to faith and hope. Yeah, I think that really is true, Mary. You know, and I think that's where it's interesting, right? It's like what he's saying here is trust the voice, trust the call. But it just even gets me a little teary even thinking about that. It's like just learning to have faith in that voice and following that. I think that's clearly part of this passage. Angela, what a great quote. Could you share it here? Sure can. And it's preach the word every day, and if need be, use words. But I will post it as well because it's such a beautiful. I mean, that says it all, right? Rainy autumn day feels lazy. Yeah, I totally get that. Totally get that. True. I guess that's when we surrender, right? And that surrender, Linda, it's just interesting. It's yeah, boy, just a lot of thoughts on that. I could go on for another hour, but I better not. So folks, I'm wishing you guys all the best. Thank you so much for joining me today and joining our little group today. I want to say that this group is a way that, again, you can serve, and it's not serving me. Obviously it serves me, but just to have a little community every morning. I know it means a lot to a lot of people who are on this call, and just watching the comments and the connections that people have. That really is a beautiful service that you do for other people. So from bottom of my heart, thank you. And I wish you folks all the best. Again, if you're joining us later in the week or later in the day, feel free to leave a comment, and I will get